Hi, gang, and welcome to Behind the Rhinestones. I am your host, Dinah Dare, and I talk to the performers of burlesque and cabaret, find out a little bit what goes on behind those shiny rhinestones. If you are enjoying and you do like the content that I'm bringing, please do like, subscribe, and comment as I have so much more to come. Today I am speaking to a newer performer on the scene, but one who has definitely been making waves. It's Miss Ginger Soumise.
Thank you so much for joining me, Ginger.
Thank you for asking me. It was a nice surprise.
Oh, it's good. On such a sunny day as well, we're inside as always.
Starting to feel like summer now at long last, which is good.
I'm like sitting here looking out the blue sky and I'm like, oh, I could go outside, but nah.
Yeah. Too much.
100%. I love that you've got your prop in your background. I feel like that is the act that you are like
People
known
more
for.
about seeing her than me, so
I love it. That's kind of the act that I sort of know you for. Like how did that act come about?
I had the idea years ago, but it was one of those ideas on my very long list of burlesque act ideas. I'm sure everybody has that it kind of popped into my head and I thought, yeah, but and then came up with a long list of reasons why I couldn't make it and just put it on the back burner. But then April 23, I had just won my heat for Burlesque Idol with my Dolly Parton act. And I had a one-to-one Zoom call with Tempest Rose, giving me feedback on the Dolly act. And she was saying to me at the end, so what are we going to see from you next? And I was like, oh, I've got this idea. Do you know the plant from Little Shop of Horrors? And basically, she validated the idea by saying, what are your reasons for not doing it? And I told her, and she just sort of looked at me and said, just make the act, just get it done. So I was like, okay. And then knowing that obviously I was going back to Idol for the November for the finals, that gave me a nice like deadline in my head. So I kind of, after that conversation, resolved myself to making the act and making it my act for the Burlesque Idols finals. So that's how it came to be. Yeah,
Amazing. And it very much feels like it's become your signature act.
it has. I'm really, really lucky so early on in my career to say that I've got an act as wonderful as my Audrey act, because she's taken me to some really, really exciting places. So I do feel very blessed to have her. I'm very grateful for Tempest to just sort of saying, get your ass into gear and make it, because otherwise I'm pretty sure it would still be in the brain just swirling round and maybe not come out for another 3 years, because that's ADHD for you. Well, that's my ADHD anyway.
Sometimes you just need someone to give you that kick up the arse, right? To be like, no, that's a good idea, go do it.
Yeah, absolutely, 1,000,000%.
Amazing. So we'll kind of go back. How did you actually get into burlesque then?
So I, long time ago, talking like 20 years ago, studied live and performance art at university, and dabbled a little bit with it then, but knew that I wanted to be a secondary school teacher at the time. So once I graduated, didn't make any art and led a very straight laced existence for a long, long time. In the lockdown, so coronavirus lockdown, I found myself in a really strange situation in that I'd just become a single parent. At the time, I was on maternity leave after having my twins, and my twins made it 4 children under the age of 4 at the time, or 4 and under. I knew I didn't want to return to teaching, and I was kind of like, what am I going to do? Sort of faced with this new life. And I literally started studying burlesque in the evenings just to give myself something positive to focus on whilst trying to navigate this shitstorm that I found myself in. It was just fun, absolutely just fun. And when the lockdown eased, I started going to like local fitness and fun style classes. Came up with my Dolly Parton act as part of a student showcase, and then felt really kind of gutted that it was only going to happen once at the students showcase. Do you know what I mean? I thought it was a bit of a waste of all this energy that I've been putting into this act. So looked for places to showcase it, but saw Burlesque Idol, thought, yeah, that sounds like fun. Get to perform at the Hippodrome, you know, Leicester Square. Little 8-year-old me would have loved the idea of performing on a West End stage. So I did it literally just for the experience. But winning my heat then validated what I was doing and made me think, oh, you know what? Maybe I to castings and see if anybody wants to pay me to do this. And that's literally how it all started for me. If I hadn't have entered that competition, I'd probably not be doing burlesque at all. It was that validation that I was on the right path for.
That's amazing. Like the fact that you've just kind of, yeah, you were like, yeah, I'll do this just for something to do. And then I feel like it's everyone. We all kind of end up falling into it and then being like, you perform once and then you're like, oh no, I need to do that again.
Yeah, you do definitely get the bug, don't you? For sure. And then for me, it was just kind of like reminding myself of my university degree and the stuff that I used to study back then and all the things that I was interested in and loved doing, but pushed aside because I was, you know, very conscious that I was going into this teaching career and I was going down this path, and kind of left it in this box. And it just felt like I was you know, lifting the lid on that box and letting it all out and letting like this version of me 20 years ago come back into my life. And that was quite a liberating experience. So I've just continued to do that ever since.
I love that. How do you, obviously you said there you've got, well, at the time you had 4 kids under the age of 4, which
Yeah.
I don't have children, but oh my God, that sounds like a lot. How how have you managed to balance that life with also being a performer?
Yeah, so I'm really lucky that I have supportive family around me. And my mum helps a lot with my children. I've got a new partner now, he's fantastic. My stepdad, Paul, has kind of a legendary status amongst the London burlesque scene, because a lot of people in the community in London will recognise my stepdad because he's always with me, driving the plant, and really loves, you know, the performers and loves the scene and loves being a part of that. So yeah, it's kind of a family thing now. And I don't do as many gigs as I want to do because I am a mum first and foremost. And I'm lucky enough to say that it's something that I can pick up and put down and when I need to. So
that creative outlet for you, and also
creative outlet for sure. Yeah. I just want to be really respectful and mindful of the fact that there are people that do this for full-time work, and I'm not in that category, and I don't pretend to be in that category. Yes.
No, that's fair. I don't do it full time either, as I just said. Like, we are filming this on my lunch break at my day job. So yeah, I totally get it.
Yeah.
What are the kind of biggest influences for you on your style of work then? Do you take a lot from, you talked about when you were at uni and college years ago, or is there more kind of modern influences or classic influences? Like, I would love to know.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I love going to see as much live art as possible in all different mediums, and I feel like my ideas do touch on different things and styles and inspirations. Anaphylaxis for sure was a massive influence on me. When I was doing my student showcase, I tell everybody this story, but when I was doing my student showcase for this burlesque fitness class that I was a part of, I was sat rhinestoning one evening for this showcase, and I put onto Amazon Prime a documentary about burlesque, and it was about the first ever Hebden Bridge Burlesque Festival. So it followed like Heidi Bang Tidy and Lady Wildflower, And I just remember having it on in the background whilst I was stoning, and ended up being completely captivated by it, because whilst watching the documentary, I realised that the showcase that I was preparing for and the classes I'd been a part of weren't burlesque at all. It was just like a fitness class. And then suddenly I'm seeing on the screen some beautiful examples of burlesque that tied in with all the stuff that I did with uni. And I realised I was more aligned to the people that I was watching on the screen than I was the people I was in this class with and the lady running the class. So yeah, and I promised myself whilst watching it that I would go to Hebden Bridge Burlesque Festival. That became one of like my bucket list goals, and that I would see Anaphylaxis, because I just completely fell in love with her work. When I found out that she was neurodivergent like me, I reached out to her, booked a mentoring session with her online, and she was absolutely fantastic. And again, really validated me as a neurodivergent performer, because I was telling her like my act process, and how it does differ to other people's. And she was really, really supportive and encouraging. And though she's never seen Little Shop of Horrors, still gave me some really lovely feedback on the idea as it was developing. And so yeah, I've got to credit Anaphylaxis as an influence, because she absolutely was one of the first icons that I hyperfixated on. For sure.
Anna is the loveliest of humans. I had the opportunity quite early to meet her and do a workshop, and then got to see her perform before COVID. And yeah, she's so good.
She really is. Yeah, she's amazing on all sorts of levels. Just yeah, one of life's good ones for sure.
100%. You're saying there that your creation process is maybe a bit different from others. Would you mind sort of explaining what your process is like?
Well, I suffer a lot from ADHD paralysis, which means that I will have an idea and I will literally choreograph something in my head, but not stand up and physically do it till literally the last minute. And that's the same with like lots of different tasks, not just creating burlesque acts, but watching other people on Instagram and stuff, booking studio time or physically going through their acts is wonderful, but definitely not what I do, because it lives in my head for a long time before I stand up and start moving with it, which I know some people would find really strange.
If it works for you, like I definitely, when I'm choreoing, I listen to the music and I see it in my head and I write it down. The difference is I then have to do it to work out, does it work or does it only work in my head?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But if it works for you, which it obviously is, then
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with that. Something that one of the many reasons I wanted to kind of reach out to yourself and speak to you is I personally love how outspoken you are online about various different things. I love every time that you write something, it's very thought out, it's very articulate. You've talked on various different subjects online, a couple that I would just want to pick up on today. And you've also kind of got an alter ego, which is Zaza Thinks, which is hilarious. What made you decide to kind of put yourself out there and be comfortable calling other people out?
Do you know what? It wasn't even really a conscious thing. I think it is literally just being autistic with ADHD and not having much of a filter. Like I do have to just rein myself in a little bit. But Zsa Zsa, I literally just invented a couple of years ago when I was ultra new to the scene, because I'd met somebody, I don't know, everyone knows who we're talking about, but I won't mention their name. I'd met somebody behaving quite predatory at a show, and I was quite surprised that nobody in the circles that I was in was talking openly about her. And I wanted to find a way of asking these questions as a newbie without offending anybody, but also seeing if anybody else was noticing this or on the same wavelength as me. So yeah, I actually, Zsa Zsa, the character, was just me putting on a blonde wig to create a very satirical sketch that I posted on my Instagram about World Feather Boa Day to coincide with another World Day, a day with World in the title, to get people thinking about what I was saying in that video and to see if it aligned with anybody else. And I guess, you know, burlesque has always been about making a mockery, being satirical, talking about people in power. Do you know what I mean? So it was a burlesque sketch, but it was literally only intended at the time to say, I've noticed this. Has anybody else noticed this? And then Zsa Zsa literally grew because not only did a lot of people notice and want the opportunity to discuss it further, I then found myself months later having people that I don't know and never met inboxing me stories, screenshots, things that had happened to them that they wanted to share and they wanted to get out there, but were scared of doing so under their own accounts, using their own voice. So Zsa Zsa, she was my character and my voice, but now she's kind of evolved into something else in that the page is posting other people's stories as well, and she's kind of like this figure to hide behind but in a satirical way.
Yeah. No, I love that because you're right. I think there's obviously been a lot of talk about this year in particular, about how everyone knows who the bad people are, but no one really openly talks about it. And then if you're new coming into the scene, you have to learn to navigate that. I think we're being a bit better. I think there's still people we are not calling out openly for various different reasons, or because people are like, it's not worth it. There's always a fear of backlash. But it goes to show that if you stand up for something that you're genuinely like, this isn't right, people actually will flock to you because they recognize someone that is a safe space to talk to.
Yeah, absolutely, sure.
A few other things that you've talked about recently, I found it really interesting, and I had a conversation with another performer just on Instagram this morning that sparked my brain to remember. You talked a bit about, or you posted on, I think it was Facebook, about how there's a lot of work for the headliners. There seems like there's a fair amount of work for the newbies, but everyone in the middle is just kind of floating along.
Producing mid-tier shows at the moment is hard work, mid-ticket shows. And I wrote an article about this because I'm very geeky and I like to research things in detail. And what I was finding is that, yeah, there is this trend for which my show is a part of. People will pay a lot of money for big gigs, you know, concerts. I'm myself paying a lot of money to go and see Dita Von Teese's show in June. I'm very excited about that. People will also pay very low and support very low ticket events for like student showcases or free events. They're generally well supported, the sort of grassroots stuff that's happening, which is great. But then there's this like middle ground that a lot of us feel stuck in, where you're producing kind of like 20 to 30 pound shows to cover everybody's costs, not to make a profit. But it's that middle ticket tier that's really struggling because people don't know whether or not they can invest in it the same way that they'll invest a lot of money in a headliner. And it doesn't offer the same kind of vibe, supportive energy of a student showcase show. It's sort of literally stuck in the middle ground. And yeah, I found a lot of people sharing that post as well because it's affecting producers all across the country and beyond.
Oh yeah. And I think it doesn't just affect the producers, and because the shows are not selling as well or not doing as well, it then impacts your performers because there's not as many opportunities. Like, I am quite open about the fact that I haven't had a lot of bookings. I'm performing outside of the country more than I'm performing inside of it, which is mad because I'm actively losing money. And I'm seeing so many other people saying the same thing. And it's because these mid-tier shows, which is kind of where most of us would perform,
Yeah.
are dying.
Yeah,
And that's really difficult.
it really is. Yeah, and it's sad. And I hate seeing it happening. And talking about it and trying to connect with other people in the same boat. It's just trying to, for me, trying to navigate how we cope with this, really. What the answer is, and I don't have the answer, but I'm on it. I'm trying.
You're actively trying, which is more than what other people are doing. So that's good. Obviously, you're saying there you're producing, it's impacting. What was the reason for you deciding to produce?
Well, producing burlesque is new to me, but producing isn't. I've been producing, directing shows for about 20 years, and my partner's an actor and has, done a lot of producing and directing stuff as well. So it kind of felt like a natural sidestep for me, and an opportunity to bring burlesque into an area where there isn't a lot of burlesque. I'm just outside of London, and lots of people will get the train into London to see shows, but I'm kind of like in a pocket where, hey, we could bring burlesque here and have it nice and local, and it was exciting to me to want to be somebody doing that.
To be able to kind of, bring it to more people, especially people who can't maybe afford to like travel out to London because it's expensive.
Absolutely, make it more accessible, and to bring more opportunities for performers to perform. Oh, hello, Kat.
I absolutely knew he was going to do that. Hi, buddy. Off you pop. No, you're going to sit there, aren't you?
Yes.
No, yeah, he's going to sit there. It's lunchtime, but he's been fed. Can you... Come on, buddy. There we go. Sorry about that. Lost my train of thought. Let me get back to it. You were obviously talking about performing and why you're producing.
And bringing more opportunities to
Yes.
get more work out there for other performers. Yeah.
We all need more work. Obviously, with kind of going back a little bit to you kind of being not just a producer, but kind of posting online about stuff, I kind of feel from the perspective of someone who before this call hadn't met you, I was very aware of your presence. I was very aware of who you were because you are so outspoken, and I do feel like you get a lot of recognition for that. Did you expect that? Was that a weird side effect of just speaking out? Do you feel that?
A weird side effect, and yeah, not expected at all. Yeah, no, but it's nice. It's nice to be able to connect with other like-minded people, and it is like a butterfly effect, isn't it? Sometimes somebody says something, and that's how we learn, by networking and communicating and growing our thoughts and having these conversations, these open conversations. And I'm not always right, and I'm very aware that I am very new and a fledgling producer, so lots and lots to learn. And to me, this is a great way of learning, because I'm not always going to get it right, and I'm not always going to say the right things or say things that everybody agrees with, for sure. But asking questions is how you learn. So, keeping the conversation open is really important to me.
And that's definitely something I think that you do. And it's out there, it's in the open, it's for other people to learn or join in the conversation as well.
Yeah, that's good.
I know you've only been doing it for a few years, but you've been everywhere and all where. Like, you've performed in quite a few sort of prestigious shows, I
Yeah.
would say. What has been some career highlights for you so far?
Oh, Neil Kendall's Halloween show. I mean, he's a literal legend and icon, and his Halloween show is like the biggest. It's just the biggest, craziest. Literally, it was in a church building that's been like reclaimed into a theatre. It was massive. There were people from all over the country flocking to that, because I'd be talking to audience members afterwards and they'd be like, oh yeah, we've driven down from Wales or whatever, and it's just like, do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that was such a buzz, getting asked to do that and getting to shoot with Neil afterwards as well. It's just he's just an icon. So that was amazing.
Yeah, I think that's kind of one of those shows that there's always such an amazing lineup as well. So I can imagine getting to kind of soak all that in, because I always say, I've said it a bajillion times, getting to watch other performers is some of the best ways that you can learn as well.
Yeah. And you know, I thought that I was being scammed when he first messaged me as well. I had to check that the little tick by his name, because I was like, how has Neil Kendall even heard of my act, or my, do you know what I mean? I was so flattered and so excited that he reached out to me as well. It was like, that was just receiving the initial inquiry was quite a moment for me, for sure. But then I'd say my other sort of massive bucket list tick was Headton Bridge, legend in the making, especially because, going back to what I was telling you earlier about sitting rhinestoning, watching that documentary, I promised myself that I would go to that festival. I'd never in a million years thought it would be to perform in that festival, but you know, what a blast that was. And yeah, that was an incredible pinch me moment for sure. So
It was a big full circle moment for you.
yeah, it was, yeah. And I would love to go back someday, and then that becomes your other goal, doesn't it?
Yeah. What are the kind of goals that you have in mind for you just now?
I'd like the producing to lead to more shows for sure. Tassels 360 has grown a lot from the first little show that I did a couple of years ago. This one is at Brentwood Theatre, and it'll be our fourth show. It'll be around 150 people if we sell out. So they're big shows, and I'd like to make them more regular. So that's definitely a goal for me. I do have a couple more bucket list shows in my head, but I don't want to say which ones in case it jinxes them, because I'm very, very fortunate to say that I've been ticking them off.
Yeah.
And I'm doing another one next week. I'm doing Frida Nichols' show in the Bay, and I'm really excited about that one as well. That was a bucket list one.
Yeah.
Eventually, I'd like to go international. I can't go abroad with Audrey when everyone wants Audrey at the moment. So I am actually working on an act at this present moment with no props.
Oh,
that will happen soon.
Having an act that can travel is such an important thing, and I do think that we all sometimes forget.
Yeah.
I'm really lucky. The two acts that I tend to travel with are, one of them's got a prop, but like it's a book and everything fits in the book, so it's not too bad. But I definitely know other people who are like feather fans and all this kind of stuff, and you're like, that's nightmare.
Fans and a typewriter and other things that I've sometimes performed without some props in that act, because not all of them are needed. But yeah, I'm still not ready to go on a plane yet, so I'd like to get the plane ready.
You'll be jetting off in no time.
Yeah.
Just get a version of Audrey that you can like unpack.
You had a little handheld puppet version.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
I love that idea.
You'd be really happy.
Yeah, he'd not be happy.
No, she's such an important part of this journey, and she's developed as well. You see this like angel with the white and stuff. Ooh.
Yeah,
that was from one of Neil Kendall's sets. that we shot on the next day after his Halloween show, he was like clucking it out of his set and gifting it to me to like make all.
Oh my God, that's so cute.
I look at her and I see all these different shows that she's been a part of within. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Her new handle, because I broke the handle, came off in my hand in one of the gigs that I had. So she's kind of like, yeah, she's almost like Ula Pearl's got her Rambler backpack, hasn't she, and all the different badges and stickers of places that she's gone.
Yeah.
Audrey is very much like that for me. She's got little
Just
of
you're a memory box just there.
yeah, that's it. She's my walk-in memory box.
I love it. You need to bring her up to Glasgow sometime.
I'd love to. That'd be funny. She loves going on trains. We get a lot of attention on trains.
I can imagine.
Yeah, we literally get people. I've had tourists in London pose for photographs and stuff with her. And get stopped all the time. Yeah, we can't go. I cannot get from one tube station to another in London without at least one person singing to the plant or saying something to me, and that's so special in itself.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
bringing.
It's not ruined the film for you yet, then? No.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. No, although it's always shocking how many people say, well, I've never actually seen Little Shop of Horrors. I said anaphylaxis, and she's never seen it. When I met Dolly Trolley at Hebden Bridge, they said they'd never seen it. So I kind of feel like she's encouraging more people to watch a cult film as well. So everyone's a winner.
Because it's a cult classic. Like
yeah, they should
have to watch it. Yeah, I have to watch it. So if you could start all over again, I know you've not been doing this for long, is there any kind of particular piece of advice that you would give yourself?
Yeah, maybe. Oh, I don't know how this is going to sound. We might have to say it and then say it again. I have to give.
That's okay. Go for it.
Definitely to be more concerned about industry than community, and I don't mean that in a shady way, but I did spend at the beginning a lot of time trying to forge connections with people in my local vicinity community, to the point where it was kind of heartbreaking, actually. People behaving in not very nice ways, and it getting me down, because I'm thinking to myself, but I'm trying to build up a scene here. I'm trying to bring work here. I'm trying to bring good things to the area. Why can't everything be sort of sparkle and sequins? And then a couple of people gave me some really stellar advice, and the bottom line of it was industry is more important than community sometimes. And you've got to, if you're doing things that are to benefit the industry and for the good of the industry, which I'm really trying hard to do, sometimes you've got to just leave the community at that level.
No, I think that's totally fair. I think sometimes community can be a word that can cover up some really bad behaviour.
I've said this on Facebook as well, yeah, for sure. I think that a lot of people hide behind this community, not competition brigade. The community not competition brigade are often the most competitive, stab your granny for a £30 door split show kind of people, and I just don't align with that at all.
What I tend to find with people who are community over competition is they are happy to support you when they feel that you are not doing better than they are. And the second you are maybe succeeding more or getting out your comfort zone or doing something different, that's when they suddenly start to, stab you in the back. It's no longer about supporting, it's you're suddenly a threat or a problem.
1,000,000%. And I think that that's not a unique to me thing at all, because I'm hearing this all over, and it is affecting the industry, especially in the sense of you have some community shows in areas where there aren't any professional shows, and they're billing them as professional shows when they're not. And then if you're trying to bring professional burlesque into those areas, it's creating this weird clash. Yeah, for sure. And that is going on all over, because I'm getting lots and lots of stories about that sent to me, in solidarity, for sure.
Oh yeah. It's definitely happening here as well. I suppose this
we've got to look at that, because, you know, I can see all sides of it. There is definitely a need for newbie shows and student showcases, and how are you meant to get better if you don't have places to perform? Like, I absolutely see the need for these kind of shows, but they become problematic to me and the middle tier group, if we were going back to what we were talking about earlier, producing middle tier shows. If they're charging £20 for a student showcase, or saying this is the best for the burlesque, do you know what I mean? There's some dangerous adverts that I'm seeing out there, not just in my hometown, UK wide, that are impacting on the industry, and some people don't seem to care, but I do.
Some people just want to get their money.
It is for a lot of people about making a quick buck, and that's sad, because I've always tried to be somebody that gives more than they take, not just out of this industry, but out of life. Like, genuinely, I do try and be that person. And so it is really disheartening when you see people pop up quick shows for quick buck without a thought about how that's going to affect people 10 minutes down the road.
Just, yeah, a quick buck. I think there's in Glasgow we do have similar problems. It's more in Edinburgh, but we do also have quite a few nights that are like scratch nights.
Sure.
And I like, they're great because they are advertised as scratch nights. So you kind of know what you're paying for. They're really cheap, or they're free, and it's like ticketed, like it's like bucket splits, which I know there's problems with that as well. But at least they are not selling something that they are not, if that makes sense.
Absolutely, yeah. It's just about transparency, isn't it? And I think we're in this funny era at the moment where people are starting, the wall is unraveling for certain people at the moment. We've seen that with the World Day recently. I don't think it's going to be very long until people are noticing similar things with other people, and transparency goes a long way.
Yeah. People just want transparent and authentic. And I think this maybe goes really nicely into my next question, which is, what do you want to see more of in burlesque?
Yeah, definitely. I want to see more scratch nights and opportunities for newbies and the grassroots stuff, but I want to see it presented in a way that helps the industry rather than clashes against it. You know, if we had these wonderful burlesque mentors that are making a lot of money from their subscribers, turn around and say, why don't you go and start seeing more live shows? They'd be helping the industry rather than kind of fighting against it by creating this little bubble of people that think that they're a part of something that maybe isn't working towards a greater good. That's just my opinion. So yeah, more transparency and working together and creating opportunities for each other would be really important, because I would not have an issue with a lot of the mentors that I do have issues with, if they were encouraging their subscribers or their mentees to see live shows and to be a part of the scene. But I think that a lot of them don't, because they don't want these people to see what's out there, because it might be detrimental to themselves, and that's a worry. I think there's a famous thing, isn't there, about fleas in a jar, where if you keep fleas in a jar with a lid on, over time they stop jumping because they know they can't get out. So even when you take the lid off, they stay in the jar because they've got so used to jumping within that boundary that even when you're removing that barrier, they're conditioned, they're just bouncing around in there, they're not breaking free. And sadly, scarily, I see a lot of people out there gatekeeping and trying to keep their fleas in the jar, and they don't want them to see shows or enter competitions or engage with people in the wider community, because that then affects the pay packet that they've got sticking these lids on jars. I hope that makes sense.
No, it does. It makes so much sense. I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
And I think there's also, I think there's more people doing this sneakily than we're probably aware of. I think there is people who are like setting themselves up as actual teachers and they seem like they're teaching, but when it comes down to it, they're also making sure that their students don't go any further than the little bubble that they create for them. I think there's some out there that are very obvious that that's what they're doing, but I do think there's a lot of bad practices in the industry where it's not obvious, but that is still what they're doing.
Yeah.
And I would love to see that.
It's so hard for a newbie to navigate that and to know who to trust. You know, there are some people that are very, very good at packaging themselves on social media to the point where they're, you know, are more skilled at marketing than perhaps they are performing or teaching themselves. And that's not unique to the burlesque industry. That's, you know, that's the wonder of being a highly skilled marketer and social media manager. But yeah, I always say if newbies ask me about mentorship, I say, you know, what are your goals? What are the shows you want to perform in or the competitions that you want to get into, you know? And whatever they are, you've got to look at the people that are doing them and doing them well and follow their lead, see who's mentoring them, where do they come from, you know, who's looking after them. And, you know, if you look at your legend in the making lineup, or, you know, the lineup of any good show that you'd really like to be a part of, ask who's mentoring those people, who's creating these newbies, because they're the ones that are being looked after, and they're the ones who should be getting more money and credit and people on their books, because they're, you know, doing great things with these people.
But they're just quietly doing the work rather than
Exactly, they're that busy putting their efforts into their students that they've not got time to do a full social media campaign making themselves look fantastic, I guess. But yeah.
Well, obviously I appreciate all the thoughts and things that you share online, but where can our lovely watchers and listeners follow you so that they can see your wonderful thoughts?
Miss Ginger Soumise is my handle for Instagram and TikTok. And then you can also find me as a producer at Tassels 360.
No, thank you so much for spending some time with me today. I really enjoyed having the chat with you, and it was nice to like meet you as well.
It's been fun. Thank you for asking me.
Thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of your day, lovely.
See you later. Bye.